Remember when 5G was going to change everything? We were promised remote surgeries, self-driving cars, and smart cities that basically ran themselves. Instead, what did we get? Patchy coverage, speed changes or speed increases that barely register, and the best use case? Well, for people who don't have internet at home, or at least fiber, and even now, Starlink is taking that job. Somewhere along the way, the grand 5G vision collapsed under its own weight. So let me tell you about what I think went wrong, why it never lived up to the hype, and what's next for 5G. Because I've mentioned this on many videos, I barely use 5G. I don't even have coverage of it. And recently I saw a video from Business Insider and it really triggered me to talk about it. So welcome to the Drip Report. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like videos like this. Let's get started by rolling the intro. Links below to all the sources, of course. Now, the industry, they bragged about 5G. It would be 10 to 100 times faster than 4G. And in reality, it was not even close. It's not even close right now. A speed check study in 2020 found that a lot of the US speeds, where 5G has the highest coverage so far, except South Korea, we'll talk about that in a moment, the average speed is under 50 megabits per second, which is barely 2.7 times faster than 4G. And in some cities, 4G was actually faster than 5Gs. In Perth, in Western Australia, there are some scenarios where, well, it's faster because it's the only thing that you can get. There's no 5G coverage. And PC Mag tested out AT&T's low-band 5G, which was slower than its 4G LTE in many cases. Links below to the article, of course. Now, the real kicker, the fastest form of 5G is called millimeter wave. Only works in perfect conditions. Indoors, it's useless. In motion, forget about it. Move behind a tree, connection gone. So instead, most of the cities get low-band 5G, which has great coverage, but speeds that feel basically like 4G with a new coat of paint, a big 5, of course. And because regulators dragged their feet on releasing mid-band spectrums, especially in the US and of course in Australia, 5G speeds are lagging behind in most of these Western countries, but there are some countries that it's going much faster. Now, if we quickly jump into the OpenSignal 5G availability chart right here from May 2023, we can see that Australia has about 20% coverage. So where has 5G flopped the hardest? Well, let's take South Korea, for example, one of the first countries to roll out 5G. They promised speeds of 20 times faster than 4G. The reality? Well, it was so underwhelming that hundreds of customers sued their carriers for overpromising and, of course, underdelivering. By 2023, South Korea's regulators fined the country's 3 biggest carriers $25 million for false advertising. Shouldn't that be happening here in Australia? Let me know in the comments below. Our counterparts in the UK, well, it wasn't much better than that. Reports in 2023 found London's 5G speeds barely outpaced 4G and coverage was absolutely inconsistent. Meanwhile, in the US, Verizon hyped up ultra wideband. The 5G was so weak that crossing the street could drop your connection. And what's the biggest real-world use of 5G? Well, it's not driverless cars, they're all on 4G, not AR glasses, fixed wireless home internet, which is great if you live in an area without fiber. But let's be honest, not exactly the future we were promised. 5G features were hyped before they even worked. So why did 5G launch if it wasn't ready? Simple, 2 things, money and marketing. Now, most carriers took shortcuts, rolling out non-standalone 5G, which still relied on 4G infrastructure behind the scenes, meaning the fancy low latency, ultra-fast features were never activated. Even today, most networks don't have full standalone 5G, which means we're still waiting for the real 5G experience years after launch. And then there's the lack of a killer app. 3G gave us mobile internet. 4G brought video streaming, live streaming, app stores, and ride shares. 5G, slightly faster Facebook scrolling, Instagram scrolling, I guess YouTube 4K videos, but most phones don't have a 4K screen. What's the point? If you tally up the total amount of money spent, I think it's around 100 billion. The investment just hasn't paid off. In the US, these are really easy numbers to get, unfortunately, so that makes a lot of sense. They spent billions of dollars on spectrum licenses. In Australia, same thing, millions. And then in infrastructure, even more, but a little bit less because we reused 4G. So fresh 5G infrastructure tops 600 billion, 800 billion dollars. What is the return on this investment? Well, the average revenue per user, which NBN uses a lot, has not increased. There's no way 5G is going to unseat the NBN at this stage. They're not making any more money from faster internet speeds. Consumers aren't willing to pay extra for 5G, and carriers are practically giving away 5G phones for free to get people onto 5G to make more money off it. What people want, I think, is better coverage. In 2023, analysts, they started talking about this thing called a 5G hangover, meaning carriers were just struggling to make money on that $1 billion of investment. Some CEOs, links below, admitted they're not sure what 5G is good for yet. So what's next? Well, with 5G failing to meet expectations, and I think we can agree on that. Let me know if not. Let me know if you don't agree. The industry is now shifting focus. So most mobile phones will have Wi-Fi 6 and 7. They're getting absolutely faster. And most data still runs on Wi-Fi, not 5G. When you're walking around, there's probably a cafe you use Wi-Fi on when you want to get some really high bandwidth stuff done. But this is what's coming soon for mobiles. Satellite interconnectivity or satellite networks. Things like Starlink. And even T-Mobile has an upcoming direct-to-satellite service. And of course, Amazon has that. This is going to cover more rural areas. People with phones or little 4G, 5G satellite devices will get better service. And 6G coming in 2030. But this time it's going to be different. The industry swears they won't make the same mistake as 5G. So let's start the 6G hype train. I want to get on it. I want to start seeing all the marketing. But what is the biggest lesson? Well, 5G's failure was never about bad technology. Technology is sound. It was the expectations that were set. The industry overpromised, underdelivered, and rushed it out before it was ready. It was just forced. So maybe some of the skeptics about 5G were right. Maybe not the reasons as to why, but it just isn't looking that great for it. So next time a telecom company tells you the next generation of wireless will change everything, maybe wait until it actually does, because there's no point using it until it really changes your life. So what do you guys think? Was 5G a scam? Just overhyped? Did it actually deliver? Please let me know in the comments below. Are you using 5G on your phones every day, or is it just using up more battery? Because it does. That's why I've turned it off on my phone. Let me know below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you all in another one. Bye!